This video is sponsored by Truefire. Over 2 million guitar players worldwide improve their playing using Truefire's online lesson systems. Learn, practice, and play with Truefire. Hi, this is Keith Williams. Welcome to 5 Watt World, where we're interested in helping you get the most music from the least gear. As I did my research for the Mustang short history, I was struck by the fact that this student guitar, something from the middle of Fender's line at best, became the tool of choice for arguably the most influential songwriter of his decade, Kurt Cobain. I've lost track of the number of times that Rick Beato has talked to me about the sophistication of Cobain's harmony, of the perfection of his melody writing, all underpinning the poetic download of his generation that was captured in his lyric writing. In his final interview for Guitar World magazine, Cobain said of the Mustang, "I don't favor them, I can afford them. It's never very easy finding reasonably priced, high-quality left-handed guitars. But out of all the guitars in the world, the Fender Mustang is my favorite." That really summarizes the old adage that the best guitar to play is the one you have. And what's more 5 Watt World than that idea? Cobain showed us that Mustangs and Jaguars, a couple of misfits by most any recounting of guitar history, were the tools available, and for that reason, they proved more than enough at the time. So if you've always wondered why a guitar can elude all sense of cool in one generation only to find it a decade later, then stay tuned, because this is the 5 Watt World short history of the Fender Mustang. If you enjoy our videos, take a minute to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when we put out new videos. And if you've already subscribed, swing by the store to grab a t-shirt or a hoodie to support what we're doing here. And if you don't need another hoodie, but want to become a bigger part of 5 Watt World, think about becoming a friend of 5 Watt. The links are in the description. And in response to requests, I've also added a tip jar as well. As early as the mid-50s, Fender realized that they should be offering student-level instruments for stores that offered in-store lessons. The idea was that if someone started with a Fender student model, they'd eventually move up and become a customer for a Telecaster or a Stratocaster. So in 1956, they launched the first 2 entry-level solid-body Fender guitars, the single pickup Music Master and the dual pickup Duosonic. Both were short-scale guitars at just 22.5 inches, compared to the standard Fender scale of 25.5 of their big brother guitars. They sold for $119.50 and $149.50 respectively. As we move forward, for context, let's remember that Fender was in Southern California, and this was an area deeply steeped in the car culture of the US. By the early 60s, Ford Motor Company was working to upgrade their image as a performance car company, and they were involved in racing at different levels at the time. The Ford Mustang was unveiled at the New York World's Fair on April 17, 1964. Ford hoped that they might sell 100,000 Mustangs, but in fact sold over 400,000 the first year, and they passed 1 million Mustangs in just the second year of production. Riding the wave of this unprecedented success, Fender would introduce its newest student model guitar that August, also named the Mustang. In 1964, Fender revamped their student line and began offering each of the guitars in both the short 22.5-inch and medium 24-inch scale. This change would include the new Mustang. You know, when it comes to these details of offset history, it's good to know what you don't know. So I always turn to Mike Adams of Mike and Mike's Guitar Bar, and now of YouTube channel Puishin's fame. Not only does Mike know way more than I do about offset history, unlike me, he's a true child of the 90s, so he can legitimately lay claim to influences I can only read about. Mike will be jumping in throughout the video to share his hands-on experience with hundreds of Mustangs over the years.
Hey Keith, it's your old pal Mike. I hope you're happy, healthy, and safe, and I'll be breaking in periodically to discuss a few of my favorite features of the Fender Mustang. One such feature is the optional 22.5-inch scale length, which may seem a little short to those of you who are used to playing, say, a Stratocaster or a Telecaster, full Fender scale length. Stretches from one fret to the next are so much simpler than on the full Fender scale length, so if you are after an easy playing experience, do yourself a favor and look for that short Mustang. Oh, and those of you who are just after something different, do me a favor, grab a 22.5-inch Mustang, string it up with a set of 13-gauge flats, and tell me it's not one of the meanest guitars you've ever played.
In this new guitar, Fender had decided to use the slightly offset waist they developed in the Jazzmaster and Jaguar at the high end of this beginner range. Moderately priced at $189.50, it was a dual pickup, medium 24-inch scale, 22-fret guitar, though a few 21-fret instruments were also built. The guitars could be ordered with either an A neck width at 1.5 inches or a B neck width at 1.65 inches. This is something to keep in mind if you're searching for an early Mustang. The Mustang was the first student model to feature a vibrato system. The floating bridge and Fender dynamic vibrato tailpiece resembled that of the Jazzmaster at a glance, though the Mustang bridge saddles had only one string slot, where other model Fenders had saddles with multiple slots to enable a small range of spacing adjustment.
The dynamic vibrato is one of my favorite vibrato units ever created. It's an amazing playing experience. It's smoother than a Stratocaster, but just a bit more immediate than the offset vibrato you see before me. By design, it has a bit more in common with the Stratocaster, but like its offset siblings, it has gained a reputation for tuning instability that is wholly undeserved. All you need to do to ensure that your Mustang works as intended is to set the thing up properly. That means a shimmed neck that pitches back slightly, a raised floating bridge, and you gotta keep that string anchor, aka the cigar, gotta keep that low on the body. You do all that, it'll pull back into tune beautifully.
The Mustang was outfitted with 2 slanting single-coil pickups wired with an unusual wiring for a Fender. Each pickup had its own 3-way position slider switch. The 3 positions were in phase on, off, and out of phase on, altogether yielding 8 different tone combinations. It also had no specific pickup selector switch, separate from those. The second on position reversed the phase of the selected pickup, enabling the pickups to be in or out of phase when used in parallel.
Although the pickups are essentially just Strat coils with flat pole pieces and a solid cover, the mere fact that there's only 2 of them instead of the 3 found on a Stratocaster, well, that gives the Mustang a unique voice. A voice that is particularly well suited to those of us who perhaps have no use for the squawky 2 and 4 positions on the Stratocaster. It's also worth noting that the Fender Mustang is the first guitar in the catalog to feature onboard phase switching, at least intentionally, that is. It's a thinned-out, notched sound that's created basically by 2 pickups canceling out shared frequencies between them, and while it may only be situationally useful for the majority of players, in certain musical circles it is an absolutely essential sound.
Of course, it was the 60s, and the sliders could be repurposed to suit the player. Vintage Mustangs often have modified pickups and wiring. The control knobs were mounted on a chrome control plate, just like that of the recently issued Jazz Bass and Jaguar. In '64, there were a slab body, a single string tree on the headstock, a maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard with white dot markers, Clouson tuners with matching oval knobs, and a white tip for the tremolo. It was initially launched in 3 colors, red, white, and blue. The red and blue came with 3-ply white perloid pickguards, solid black pickup covers, and black switches. The white came with a 3-ply faux tortoise pickguard, solid white pickup covers, and white switches. The very next year saw changes, primary of which was the new larger CBS acquisition headstock. An additional patent number was added to the headstock, and F-key tuners with white plastic knobs. '66 saw the introduction of the Mustang bass as well. In '67-68, the headstock decal was modified, losing the wording offset contour body, and a patent number was added to the tailpiece, which previously been stamped patent pending. '67 also saw the release of the Fender Bronco, a guitar that shared the body and neck of the Mustang, and it had just one pickup and a different tremolo system. These guitars were marketed with a similarly branded Fender Bronco amp, which was, according to schematics and manual from Fender, identical to the Silverface Vibrachamp amps of the same years. The Broncos were produced until 1981. In '69, body and forearm contours were added, and it saw the launch of the 3 competition finishes. Harkening back to the connections with the car culture, of course, these guitars had racing stripes, much like the Shelby Mustangs of the day, over the forearm contour. They came in red with cream, blue with light blue, and orange with dark orange stripes. These were occasionally produced with matching color headstocks as well.
Keith, don't forget Purple Burst. Some of the earliest examples of competition burgundy, aka the blue one, I don't know why they called it that, had a purple burst around the edge of the body, making them some of the coolest guitars ever produced in the post-Leo Fender era, at least in my humble opinion.
The competition Mustangs replaced the regular colors around 1970, but they were themselves discontinued in 1973. Also in '73, Mustangs became available in 3-color burst, natural, walnut, black, white, and blonde. In '74, they added a second string tree, and the tuners were switched to chrome knobs. In '76, the control knobs were switched to a Stratocaster style, and they began to use black 3-ply pick guards and tremolo arm tips. They added the option of ordering a 1-piece maple neck, and the serial number moved from the neck plate to the headstock in '77. Also in '77, Antigua became a color option.
Okay, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I love 1970s Fenders. I think that they are incredibly cool instruments, and if you find a good one, oh, that's a keeper, I promise you. One of my favorite guitars ever, in fact, was a 1970s Fender Mustang in Mocha. I believe it was like a 75, and it is one of the meanest, most authoritative sounding guitars I have ever played. Now, it did need a complete refret. It was not in good shape playability-wise, I will admit that, but I desperately wanted to take it home with me, call it Wicket after one of my most beloved Star Wars characters, and write the album that would define my entire career, but alas, that never happened. So Wicket, wherever you are, I miss you, buddy. But in conclusion, 1970s Fenders rule. I love them. That would be a mic drop if I had a mic that I was comfortable dropping. I have the screwdriver. Bam! He did it! What?
And in that form, the Mustang was produced until 1982, when it was discontinued by Fender. It was the last of the floating bridge guitars to be produced in its original run. Like much of the guitar world, the life of the Mustang as a reissue guitar far exceeds its original run. It's like the Jazzmaster, due to the guitars having been embraced by the grunge and punk bands at the time as inexpensive vintage alternatives, Fender reissued the Mustang in 1990. The reissue Mustangs were made in Japan with a 24-inch scale neck, while the original Mustang bodies were mostly poplar, with some rare mahogany instruments. The Japanese-made MG72 Mustangs were made out of a very similar wood, basswood, while the later MG65 reissue guitars reverted to using poplar. The MG77 guitars were reissued in ash. And this seems like the perfect place to mention the Jagstang. According to Cobain, he designed the guitar by cutting up and pasting together 2 Polaroid photos of a Jaguar and a Mustang. 2 left-handed prototypes were built by custom shop builder Larry Brooks, but only one would end up being played by Cobain. In the end, he would only play the guitar live a handful of times. The production Jagstang had a 24-inch scale neck, a vintage-style single coil in the neck, and a special design humbucker in the bridge position. After Cobain's death in 1994, the production Jagstangs were produced from 1985 to 2001, and then again from 2003 to 2006 due to popular demand. Another Mustang offshoot was the Cyclone. Introduced late in 1997, the guitar came with a very Mustang-like body, but was equipped with a 24 3/4-inch scale length neck, much as the same as a Gibson guitar would have. It featured a Strat-style tremolo bridge, a slanted single coil in the neck, and a humbucker in the bridge. The guitar was originally produced in Japan, and later there was an American-made Cyclone as well. It was issued in a variety of pickup configurations, including 2 humbuckers, HH version, and the Cyclone 2, with 3 angled Jaguar pickups with individual on-off switches for each pickup. These were all discontinued by 2007. But in 2020, Squier issued a Cyclone 2 as a part of its Paranormal series. In 2011, Fender released a Mustang in their Pawn Shop series called the Mustang Special. The model featured the traditional offset Mustang body with a 24-inch scale neck, but with humbucking pickups and a hardtail Strat-style bridge. 2012 saw the release of the inevitable Kurt Cobain signature Mustang, based on the modded Mustangs that Cobain played on the In Utero tour. It's loaded with a Seymour Duncan JV humbucker in the bridge and a Mustang single coil in the neck. It also featured an angled Fender Adjustomatic bridge. They were originally available in Fiesta Red, Sonic Blue, and Dark Lake Placid Blue, with competition stripes. It was the first Mustang to be sold in Europe in both right and left-handed versions. Squier joined the party in earnest in 2012 with a vintage modified Mustang series, with specs similar to the originals but with modern materials. There was also a double humbucker version at the time as a bullet model. 2013 saw more import Mustangs with the modern Player Mustang. This take on the old model featured two MP90 pickups. It had a 9.5-inch fingerboard and was offered in Daphne Blue and Honeyburst. And then in 2013, the first US-built Mustangs that had been done since they were discontinued in '82 came with the American Special Mustang. Sharing only the body shape and scale length with the original, these guitars featured Fender atomic humbucking pickups, conventional three-way switching, a fixed tailpiece, and the adjust-o-matic bridge. In 2016, Fender released a new style standard Mustang, the Mustang P90, and the Mustang PJ bass. This latest Mustang had a 24-inch scale maple neck with 22 medium jumbo frets, two single-coil pickups, a master volume and a master tone, and a three-way selector switch. Predictably, the Mustang P90 swaps out the single coils in favor of a pair of MP90 pickups and is available in silver, Torino red, and Olympic white. The Mustang PJ bass has a short 30-inch scale with 19 jumbo frets and the precision bass and jazz bass hybrid pickup combination that's so popular on modern instruments. The Mustang is one of the most popular basses among guitar players due to its short scale, small, lighter weight body, and wonderful deep tone. Current Fender offerings include the Vintera Series 60s style Mustang with vintage style appointments in 3-color burst, Lake Placid blue, and seafoam green. There's a Vintera 60s Mustang bass as well. And while I'm on the basses, there's an American Performer with PJ pickups, a player bass PJ, and a Justin Meldal Johnson signature road-worn Mustang bass to choose from. There's also a Squier Classic Vibe Mustang, as well as a Squier Vibe bass. Further, Fender offers the Player Mustang, as seen on the thumbnail, with a Strat-style bridge and three-way selector switch. There's also the American Performer Mustang, with vintage-looking appointments, but a 9.5-inch radius fingerboard and a redesigned tremolo system, and the Yosemite-style pickups. Still in the line is the Player P90, with the Strat-style hardtail bridge. And Fender just announced a Ben Gibbard signature Mustang, featuring a chambered ash body designed for increased resonance and reduced weight, one-piece 22-fret modern C-shaped neck, a 9.5-inch radius fingerboard, and medium jumbo frets. And I like to think that it's in keeping with the original student-driven goal of the Mustang, that there's a Squier Bullet HH Mustang-style guitar, with two humbucking pickups, a three-way selector switch, a 24-inch scale length, and a diminutive price tag of $179.99. It's ready to enroll an entire new generation of Mustang players. I've partnered with Truefire because I've used them for over a decade, and my playing always improves when I put in the time on their lessons. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or professional level player, Truefire has lessons to inspire and advance your playing. As you know, I always promote spending money on lessons before new gear. I really like Truefire, and I think if you give them a shot, you'll like them too. Get 25% off courses using the promo code 5watt25, or like I have for many years, sign up for the All Access Pass to use the entire Truefire catalog. You can sample anything in the catalog with the All Access Pass and see where the muse takes you. I love their tagline, learn, practice, and play with Truefire. I'd like to thank Truefire for partnering with me and sponsoring this video. Famous players of Mustangs include the earlier mentioned Kurt Cobain of Nirvana, Adrian Belew from Frank Zappa's band, King Crimson and David Bowie, Liz Phair, Belinda Butcher from My Bloody Valentine, Blixa Bargeld of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, John McLaughlin with Tony Williams and then Miles Davis, Rory Gallagher, Mac DeMarco, John Frusciante, Teresa Wayman from Warpaint, Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth, Lee Ronaldo of Sonic Youth, and Ben Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie. All the players above made all that music with a guitar originally designed for beginner players, hence all wonderfully 5-watt world, and I love that. If I missed your favorite part of the Fender Mustang story, please put it in the comments for everyone to enjoy. I know from experience that I can count on you. First, I need to thank the well-known Mustang-wielding Eric Haugen for playing his original 1966 guitar for this video. If you're not watching his YouTube channel, you should be. I also need to thank Mike Adams for collaborating with me on this last of the offset Fender guitars in the Short History series. I can't tell you how much I enjoy Mike's YouTube channel and hope you'll join me watching him over there. The links for both channels are in the description. I need to thank all of you that sent me nuggets on Mustang history after my community posts and live streams. The members of 5-Watt World teach me things every day. I need to thank Michael Wright from Vintage Guitar Magazine for his article on the Fender Competition Mustang guitars. And finally, I need to thank Jeff Gibbert from Guitar World magazine for the interview with Kurt Cobain from the February 1992 issue. I need to thank all of you that stopped by the store to buy a t-shirt, hoodie, or the Stomp preset pack. And in particular, I need to thank the friends of 5-Watt, an ever-growing group of guitar obsessives. I appreciate you guys being along for the ride and supporting 5-Watt World and everything we do. If you enjoyed this short history of the Fender Mustang, hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that too. Thanks for watching. Until next time, thanks for being a part of the 5-Watt World.